Can you walk me to my car? The words hung in the air like a gunshot. Margaret Whitmore's voice cracked as she spoke them, her frail hand gripping the edge of the table. Across the diner, Rex 6'4" of leather and scars turned his head slowly. Their eyes met. In that split second, everyone in the room knew something terrible was about to happen. The two men by the window stiffened. Ashley's heart hammered against her ribs, and Margaret's sweet, limping Margaret looked like she was staring death in the face. Before we dive into what happens next, hit that subscribe button and stick with me until the very end of this story. Drop a comment telling me what city you are watching from. I want to see how far Margaret's courage travels across this world. Margaret's fingers wouldn't stop shaking. She'd been sitting in that corner booth for 20 minutes, nursing a cup of coffee that had gone cold 15 minutes ago. The rain hammered against the windows of Dutch's diner like it was trying to break through, and every time the door opened, a gust of wet wind swept through, carrying the smell of gasoline and wet asphalt. She wasn't supposed to be afraid anymore. Not at 89. Not after surviving a husband's death, 2 wars from the home front, and more heartbreak than most people see in 2 lifetimes. But tonight, fear sat in her chest like a stone. "You want a refill, honey?" Ashley Carter appeared at her elbow, pot of coffee in hand, blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail that had started to come loose during the dinner rush. She was 26, sharp-eyed, and had worked at Dutch's long enough to know when something was wrong. Margaret tried to smile. "No, thank you, dear." Ashley didn't move. She glanced toward the window where 2 men sat in a booth that gave them a clear view of the entire diner. They'd ordered burgers an hour ago and hadn't touched them. Just sat there, watching. "You okay, Mrs. Whitmore?" Margaret's throat tightened. "I'm fine." But she wasn't fine. She hadn't been fine since the day 3 weeks ago when a man in a gray suit had appeared outside her house, standing on the sidewalk, smoking a cigarette and staring at her living room window. She'd called the police. They'd come ask questions, found nothing. The man was gone, but he came back. Different places, different times, always watching. And tonight he'd brought a friend. Ashley followed her gaze. "Those guys bothering you?" "No, Margaret lied. "Just tired." Ashley didn't buy it. She'd seen enough trouble walk through that door to recognize it when it sat down and ordered a Coke. She squeezed Margaret's shoulder. "You just holler if you need anything, okay?" Margaret nodded, but her hand still shook. Across the diner, the Hells Angels took up 3 booths near the back. There were 8 of them tonight. Big men with road-worn faces, leather vests decorated with patches that told stories most people didn't want to hear. They were loud laughing about something one of them had said, their voices cutting through the low hum of the diner like thunder. At the head of the table sat Rex. He was the kind of man people crossed the street to avoid. Not because he looked mean, though he did, but because he looked certain. Like he'd made peace with violence a long time ago and didn't lose sleep over it. His steel blue eyes had seen things, done things, and tonight those eyes were tracking every movement in the diner. He saw the 2 men by the window. He saw Margaret, and he saw the black sedan parked outside, engine running, windshield wipers cutting through the rain. "You see that?" Rex muttered to the man beside him, Donnie, a wiry guy with a scar running through his left eyebrow. Donnie glanced at him up. "See what old lady in the corner? She's spooked." Donnie followed his gaze. "Maybe she's just cold." "Nah." Rex leaned back, arms crossed. "Something's wrong." "Not our problem, boss." Rex didn't answer, but he kept watching. Margaret's heart raced. She needed to leave. Needed to get to her car, drive home, lock the doors, and pretend this night never happened. But every time she thought about standing up, walking past those 2 men stepping out into that dark parking lot, her chest tightened. She couldn't do it alone. Ashley reappeared, slipping into the booth across from her. "Mrs. Whitmore, talk to me." Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "I can't." "Can't what?" "I can't leave." Ashley leaned forward. "What's going on?" Margaret's voice dropped to a whisper. "Those men by the window. They've been following me." Ashley's stomach dropped. "Following you for how long?" "Weeks." "Jesus." Ashley glanced toward them. One of the men was on his phone now, talking low, his eyes never leaving Margaret. "Did you call the cops?" "They won't help." "Why not?" Margaret hesitated, then barely audible, "Because I'm supposed to testify." Ashley froze. "Testify against who?" "Someone powerful." Margaret's voice cracked. Someone who doesn't want me to make it to that courthouse. The weight of those words hit Ashley like a freight train. She looked at the two men again. They weren't just watching, they were waiting. Okay, Ashley said, her voice steadier than she felt. Okay, we're going to figure this out. How? Ashley's mind raced. Calling the police would take too long. Even if they came, what could they do? Arrest two guys for sitting in a diner. By the time anything happened, Margaret would be in that parking lot, alone, vulnerable. Her eyes drifted toward the back of the diner, toward the bikers. No, Margaret whispered, reading her thoughts. Ashley, no. Hear me out. Those men are dangerous. So are those men. Ashley nodded toward the window. At least the bikers aren't pretending. Margaret stared at her. You can't be serious. I'm dead serious. Ashley's jaw set. You need help, real help. And those guys, she glanced at Rex, they look like they've handled worse than a couple of hired thugs. Margaret's hands trembled harder. I can't ask them. Then I will. Ashley. But Ashley was already sliding out of the booth. Margaret's heart plummeted. Ashley, please. Ashley didn't stop. She walked straight toward the back of the diner, her pulse hammering in her ears, every instinct screaming at her to turn around. But she didn't. She couldn't. Because if she didn't do this, Margaret was going to die tonight. Rex saw her coming. His expression didn't change, but his posture did just slightly. The kind of shift that said he was ready for whatever came next. Ashley stopped at the edge of their table. 8 pairs of eyes turned toward her. Can I help you, sweetheart? Rex's voice was deep, rough, like gravel under tires. Ashley swallowed hard. I need to ask you something. Go ahead. She glanced back at Margaret, then met Rex's gaze. That woman in the corner booth. The older lady, she's in trouble. Rex's eyes narrowed. What kind of trouble? The kind that ends with her not making it home tonight. The table went quiet. Donnie leaned forward. You saying someone's gonna hurt her? I'm saying someone's planning to. Rex followed her gaze to the two men by the window. He studied them for a long moment. Then he looked at the black sedan outside. Who is she? He asked. Her name's Margaret. She's a witness in a federal case. Those guys have been following her for weeks. One of the other bikers, a bald man with a tattooed neck, let out a low whistle. Damn. Rex didn't take his eyes off the two men. What do you want from us? Ashley's voice shook. I want you to walk her to her car. Silence. Then Donnie laughed short, sharp. You want us to play bodyguard? I want you to make sure she doesn't get killed in your parking lot. Rex tilted his head. Why should we? Ashley's hands clenched into fists. Because if you don't, she's dead. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to stand here and watch that happen. Rex stared at her. For a long, terrible moment, Ashley thought he was going to tell her to get lost. Then he stood. All 6'4", 240 pounds of him. All right, he said. Let's go meet Margaret. Ashley's knees nearly buckled with relief. The other bikers rose one by one until all 8 of them were standing. The diner went quiet. Every eye in the place turned toward them. Rex walked past Ashley, his boots heavy on the tile floor, and headed straight for Margaret's booth. Margaret looked up, her face pale, her eyes wide. Rex stopped at the edge of her table. He didn't smile, didn't soften his expression. Just looked at her with those steel blue eyes and said, Ma'am, I hear you need some help. Margaret's lips trembled. I don't want to be any trouble. You're not. I just need to get to my car. Rex glanced toward the window. The two men had stopped pretending to eat. They were watching now. Waiting. Those men giving you problems? Rex asked. Margaret nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. They're going to kill me. Rex's jaw tightened. He looked back at his crew, then back at Margaret. Not tonight, they're not. Margaret let out a some half relief, half disbelief. Rex extended his hand. Hoyne, come on, we'll walk you out. Margaret stared at his hand like it was a lifeline. Slowly, shakily, she reached out and took it. Rex helped her to her feet, his grip steady and strong. Margaret's legs wobbled, her limp more pronounced than usual, but Rex didn't let go. Ashley, he called over his shoulder. Get her coat. Ashley scrambled to grab Margaret's coat from the rack by the door. She helped Margaret into it, her own hands shaking now. You're going to be okay, Ashley whispered. I promise. Margaret didn't answer. She just held onto Rex's arm like it was the only thing keeping her upright. The bikers formed up around her, Rex in front, two on either side, the rest behind. It was a wall of leather and muscle, a fortress on two legs. And then they started walking. The diner fell silent. The two men by the window stood up. Rex didn't stop, didn't even look at them. Just kept walking, Margaret clinging to his arm, the rest of the crew flanking them like a military escort. Ashley followed, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. They reached the door. Rex pushed it open. The rain hit them like a slap, cold and furious. The wind howled, lightning flashed in the distance, and there, blocking the path to Margaret's car, was the black sedan. The engine was running, the headlights were on, and the driver's door was opening. Rex stopped. Margaret whimpered. The man who stepped out of the sedan was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black jacket that glistened with rain. He didn't say anything, just stood there staring at them. Then the passenger door opened. Another man got out, bigger, meaner looking. They didn't draw weapons, didn't need to. The threat was clear. Rex's voice was low, calm. "Ma'am, which one's your car?" Margaret pointed with a shaking hand. The blue Honda, right there. It was parked 20 feet away. Might as well have been 20 miles. Rex nodded. "All right, we're gonna walk you there, nice and slow. You stay between us." "Got it." Margaret nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Donnie," Rex said quietly, "you and Crank take the left. Hound and Stitch take the right. Anybody makes a move, you shut it down." "Copy that, boss." They started walking again. The two men from the sedan didn't move, just watched, calculated. Margaret's breath came in short, panicked gasps. "They're going to kill me. They're going to—" "No, they're not," Rex said. His voice was steady as a heartbeat. "Because they'd have to go through all of us first. And trust me, ma'am, they don't want that." The distance closed. 15 feet, 10. One of the men from the sedan took a step forward. Rex stopped. "That's far enough." The man didn't speak, just stared. Rex stared back. The rain poured between them. Nobody moved. Then slowly the man stepped back. Rex didn't smile, didn't gloat, just kept walking. They reached Margaret's car. Donnie pulled open the driver's door. Margaret fumbled for her keys, her hands shaking so badly she almost dropped them. "Easy," Rex said gently. "Take your time." She finally got the key into the ignition. The engine sputtered to life. Rex leaned down to her window. "You drive straight home. Lock your doors. Don't stop for anything. You hear me?" Margaret nodded, unable to speak. "And tomorrow," Rex said, "you call the police, tell them everything. We'll back you up if you need us." Thank you," Margaret whispered. Rex straightened. "Go." Margaret put the car in reverse, her hands still shaking, and backed out of the space. The Honda's taillights disappeared into the rain. The two men from the sedan watched her go. Then they looked at Rex. Rex looked back. One of them reached for something inside his jacket, and every single biker moved. Not fast, not aggressive, just moved. Into position. Ready. The man froze. For a long, terrible moment, the parking lot was a powder keg. Then the man slowly withdrew his hand. Empty. He and his partner got back into the sedan. The engine revved, and they drove away. Rex didn't relax until the taillights vanished into the night. Donnie let out a breath. "Jesus Christ." "Yeah," Rex muttered. Ashley was still standing in the doorway of the diner, her whole body trembling. She didn't realize she was crying until Rex walked back toward her. "She gonna be okay?" Ashley asked. Rex looked out at the empty road. "For tonight. What about tomorrow?" Rex didn't answer right away. Then he said, "We'll see." And for the first time that night, Ashley believed that maybe, just maybe, Margaret had a chance. But as the rain poured down and the wind howled through the parking lot, one thing was clear. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Rex stood in the rain for a full minute after the sedan disappeared, water running down his face, soaking through his leather vest. His crew waited behind him, silent, tense, watching the road like those headlights might come back any second. "Boss," Donnie finally said, "we heading back in?" Rex didn't answer. His mind was somewhere else, running through possibilities, calculating odds. Those men weren't amateurs. The way they'd moved, the way they'd waited, professional. Which meant Margaret wasn't just some random witness. She was a problem somebody wanted gone. And problems like that didn't disappear because a few bikers got in the way. Rex, Donnie tried again. She's not safe, Rex said quietly. We got her out. That's what the girl asked for. Getting her out isn't enough. Rex turned to face his crew. Those guys are going to try again. Tonight, tomorrow, next week. They're not going to stop until she's dead. Stitch, a lean guy with graying hair and a scar across his chin, shook his head. Not our fight, brother. It is now. The hell it is. We walked her to her car. That's it. We're done. Rex's jaw tightened. You see her face. You see how scared she was. Yeah, I saw, and I feel for her, but we can't save everybody. No, Rex agreed, but we can save her. The crew exchanged glances. Hound, the ball guy with the tattooed neck, stepped forward. What are you saying, Rex? You want us to babysit an old lady? I'm saying we make sure she lives long enough to testify. Crank laughed short and bitter. Man, you've lost it. You know what kind of heat that brings. I know exactly what it brings. Then why the hell would we do it? Rex looked at each of them in turn. Because it's the right thing to do. Silence. The rain hammered down harder. Then Donnie sighed. Ah, hell, I knew you were going to say something stupid like that. Rex almost smiled. So you in? Do I have a choice, always? Donnie glanced at the others, then back at Rex. Yeah, I'm in. One by one, the rest of them nodded. Reluctant, uneasy, but in. Rex clapped Donnie on the shoulder. All right, let's get inside. We've got work to do. They filed back into the diner, dripping water across the tile floor. The other customers stared, whispered, but nobody said a word. Ashley was behind the counter, her face pale, her hands gripping the edge of the formica like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Rex walked straight to her. You got Margaret's address? Ashley blinked. What? Her address. I need it. Why what? Because we're going to make sure she gets through the night. Ashley's eyes widened. You're serious. Dead serious. Now, do you have it or not? Ashley hesitated, then grabbed a pen and scribbled an address on a napkin. She lives about 10 minutes from here. Little house on Maple Street. Rex took the napkin. Thanks. Wait. Ashley grabbed his arm. What are you going to do? Keep her alive. How? Rex didn't answer. He just turned to his crew. Donnie, you and Hound take the first shift. Park outside her house. Anybody comes near you, call me. Got it. Stitch, Crank, you're on standby. Get some rest, but keep your phones on. Roger that. Rex looked at Ashley. You did good tonight. Ashley's throat tightened. I didn't do anything. You asked for help. That takes guts. He paused. You know anything else about those guys? Names who they work for? Ashley shook her head. Just that Margaret's supposed to testify against someone powerful. That narrows it down to about 1,000 people. She didn't say who, just that they've been following her for weeks. Rex nodded slowly. All right, we'll figure it out. He glanced at the window. You lock up tight tonight. Don't walk to your car alone. I won't. Rex tipped his head and walked out, his crew following. The diner felt emptier, without them quieter, like all the air had been sucked out. Ashley sank onto a stool, her legs shaking. She'd just involved a biker gang in a federal case. She'd just put herself and them in the crosshairs. What the hell had she done? Outside, Rex climbed onto his bike. The engine roared to life, drowning out the rain. Donnie and Hound mounted their own bikes, and the three of them tore out of the parking lot, heading toward Maple Street. Margaret's house was small, tidy, with a white picket fence and flower boxes in the windows. The lights were on inside. Rex could see her shadow moving through the curtains. He parked his bike a block away in the shadows where he had a clear view of the house. Donnie and Hound pulled up beside him. See anything? Donnie asked. Rex scanned the street. Quiet. Empty. But that didn't mean anything. Not yet. How long we staying? Long as it takes. Donnie groaned. It's going to be a long night. Yeah. They settled in, engines off, rain pounding on their helmets. Minutes stretched into an hour. Then 2. Nothing moved. Inside the house, Margaret sat at her kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug of tea she hadn't touched. Her whole body ached from fear, from tension, from the weight of everything she'd been carrying for weeks. She should have felt safe. She was home. The doors were locked. The police had her number. But she didn't feel safe. She felt like a rabbit in a trap waiting for the fox to come back. Her phone buzzed. She jumped, nearly spilling the tea. It was a text from an unknown number. You got lucky tonight. It won't happen again. Margaret's hands shook so hard that she almost dropped the phone. She stared at the message, her heart-hammering bile rising in her throat. They knew. They knew she'd made it home, which meant they were still watching. She stumbled to the window and peeked through the curtains. The street looked empty, but somewhere out there in the dark they were waiting. She wanted to scream, wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. Her phone buzzed again. Another text. Sleep well, Margaret. She dropped the phone like it had burned her. Outside, Rex's phone rang. He answered without taking his eyes off the house. Yeah, it was Stitch. Boss, we got a problem. What kind of problem? I've been asking around. Margaret Whitmore, she's testifying against Vincent Caldera. Rex went still. Say that again. Vincent Caldera. The Vincent Caldera. Rex's blood ran cold. Vincent Caldera wasn't just powerful. He was untouchable. A crime boss who'd spent 30 years building an empire on drugs, extortion, and murder. The feds had been trying to take him down for decades. And now, finally, they had a witness. Margaret. Jesus Christ, Rex muttered. Yeah, we're in deep, brother. How deep? Caldera's got people everywhere. Cops, judges, politicians. If he wants her dead, she's dead. Rex's grip tightened on the phone. Not if we stop him. Rex, you can't stop Vincent Caldera. Nobody can. Then we'll be the first. Stitch was quiet for a moment. You're really gonna do this? I gave her my word. Your word's gonna get us all killed. Maybe, but at least we'll go down doing something that matters. Stitch sighed. You're a stubborn son of a bitch, you know that. Yeah, I know. Rex hung up and looked at Donnie. We've got a situation. Worse than two hitmen? A lot worse. He told them about Caldera, about what they were really up against. Donnie let out a low whistle. Man, we are screwed. Yeah. So what do? Rex stared at Margaret's house. We protect her, however long it takes. And if Caldera sends more guys, then we deal with them. Rex, there's 8 of us. Caldera's got an army. Then we get smart. We stay ahead of them. We don't give them an opening. Hound shook his head. You're talking about a war. I'm talking about keeping an old woman alive long enough to put a monster in prison. That's a war, boss. Rex didn't argue, because Hound was right. They just declared war on one of the most dangerous men in the country, and they didn't even have a plan. Inside the house, Margaret couldn't stop shaking. She turned off all the lights, locked every window, checked every door twice. But it didn't help. The fear was inside her now, clawing at her chest, making it hard to breathe. She thought about calling the police, but what would she say that she'd gotten a threatening text? They'd tell her to stay calm, to keep her doors locked, to call if anything happened. But by the time anything happened, it would be too late. She thought about calling the federal prosecutor, but it was 2 a.m, and what could he do? Send a car. Post a guard for how long, a day a week, Caldera could wait. He was patient. He'd waited 30 years to build his empire. He could wait 30 more days to kill her. Unless someone stopped him. Margaret sank onto the couch, her body trembling, tears streaming down her face. She thought about her husband, dead 10 years now. Thought about her daughter living 3 states away, safe, oblivious. Thought about the bikers who'd walked her to her car. She didn't even know their names as. But they'd saved her life tonight, and somehow she knew they weren't done. Outside, Rex saw the lights in Margaret's house go out. He checked his watch, 2:15. She was trying to sleep. Fat chance of that. Donnie, you take first watch. I'm going to make some calls. Who you calling at 2 a.m? People who owe me favors. Rex pulled out his phone and dialed a number he hadn't called in 5 years. It rang 4 times before a groggy voice answered. This better be good. Tommy, it's Rex. Silence. Then, Rex, Jesus, man, I thought you were dead. Not yet. Listen, I need information. At 2 a.m. It's important. Tommy sighed. What do you need, Vincent Caldera? I need to know who he's got on his payroll. Another pause. Longer this time. Rex, you don't want to mess with Caldera. Too late. I'm already in. Then you're a dead man. Maybe, but I'm not going to let him kill an innocent woman. Tommy was quiet for a long moment. You really are as crazy as they say. Crazy or not, I need your help. What makes you think I know anything about Caldera? Because you used to run with his crew before you went straight. You know people. You hear things. Tommy exhaled slowly. All right, give me a day. I'll see what I can dig up. I need it sooner. Rex. Tommy, she's testifying in 3 days. If I don't have intel by tomorrow, she's dead. Another long silence. I'll do what I can. Thanks, brother. Rex hung up and rubbed his eyes. He was exhausted, his body aching from the cold rain, his mind racing with too many variables. But he couldn't afford to rest, not yet. He looked at Margaret's house, dark and silent, and made himself a promise. She was going to live, no matter what it cost. Inside, Margaret finally drifted into a restless sleep, her dreams filled with shadows and screams. She dreamed of her husband, of a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. She dreamed of the courtroom, of Caldera's cold eyes staring at her from across the room. And she dreamed of the bikers standing between her and the darkness, their faces hard and unyielding. When she woke, the sun was just beginning to rise, pale light filtering through the curtains. Her body ached, her head pounded, and for a moment she didn't remember where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The diner, the men, the rain, the bikers. She stumbled to the window and peeked outside, and froze. There, parked across the street, were 2 motorcycles, and sitting on them, arms crossed, faces unreadable, were 2 of the bikers from last night. They'd stayed, all night. Margaret's throat tightened. She pressed her hand to the window, tears streaming down her face. She wasn't alone. Not anymore, Deb. Outside, Donnie saw the curtain move. He nudged Hound. She's awake. About time. I'm freezing my ass off. Yeah, we'll get used to it. We're gonna be here a while. Hound groaned. Rex better know what he's doing. He always does. Yeah. Then why do I feel like we're about to get ourselves killed? Donnie didn't answer because he was wondering the same thing. But Rex had made the call. And when Rex made a call, you followed. That was the code. That was the crew. Even if it meant walking straight into hell. And as the sun rose over Maple Street, casting long shadows across the quiet neighborhood, one thing was clear. Hell was coming, and it was bringing an army. Margaret opened her front door at 7:30, her robe pulled tight against the morning chill, and walked straight toward the 2 bikers. Her legs were stiff, her limp pronounced, but she moved with purpose. Donnie saw her coming and nudged Hound. Uh-oh. What do we do, boy? Hell if I know. Margaret stopped at the curb, looking up at them with red-rimmed eyes. You stayed. Donnie shifted uncomfortably. Yes, ma'am. All night. Yes, ma'am. Her lips trembled. Why? Because Rex told us to. But why would he? Her voice cracked. Why would any of you care? Donnie glanced at Hound, then back at Margaret. Because you needed help, and we don't walk away from that. Margaret's hand went to her mouth. She stood there, shaking, tears spilling down her cheeks. Then she did something neither of them expected. She reached up and hugged Donnie. He froze, arms at his sides, completely unprepared. Hound's eyebrows shot up. Thank you, Margaret whispered. Thank you so much. Donnie's throat tightened. Slowly, awkwardly, he patted her back. You're welcome, ma'am. She pulled away, wiping her eyes. Have you eaten? I can make breakfast. Oh, you don't have to. Please, it's the least I can do. Donnie looked at Hound. Hound shrugged. All right, Donnie said. That'd be nice. 20 minutes later, they were sitting at Margaret's kitchen table, plates of scrambled eggs and toast in front of them. It felt surreal, 2 bikers in leather vests eating breakfast in a grandmother's kitchen, while the woman who'd been marked for death poured them coffee. I don't even know your names, Margaret said. I'm Donnie. This is Hound. Hound grinned. Long story. Margaret smiled, the first real smile she'd managed in weeks. Well, thank you both. I don't know what I would have done without you. You'd have figured something out, Donnie said. No. Margaret shook her head. I wouldn't have. I was ready to give up. The words hung heavy in the air. Hound set down his fork. You can't give up now, ma'am. Not when you're this close. Close to what? Dang, close to putting that bastard away. Margaret flinched at the word. Then she laughed, bitter and tired. You know who he is. Vincent Caldera. We know. Then you know what he's capable of. We do. And you're still here, Donnie met her eyes. We're still here. Margaret's chin trembled. He's going to kill you all. Maybe, but he's going to have to work for it. Before Margaret could respond, Donnie's phone rang. He answered. Yeah, it was Rex. How's she doing? She's okay, made us breakfast. Good. Listen, I need you two back here. Stitch and Crank are heading your way to take over. What's going on? Tommy came through. We've got intel. Donnie straightened. What kind of intel? The kind that changes everything. Get back here. Now. The line went dead. Donnie stood. We've got to go. Margaret's face fell. Already? Don't worry. 2 more guys are coming to watch the house. You won't be alone. Will I see you again? Donnie hesitated. Then he said, yeah, you will. Margaret walked them to the door. Be careful. Always are. As Donnie and Hound roared away on their bikes, Margaret stood in the doorway watching them disappear. For the first time in weeks, she felt something other than fear. She felt hope. 15 minutes later, Stitch and Crank pulled up. They introduced themselves, promised to keep her safe, and took up position outside. Margaret went back inside, her mind racing. Who were these men? Why were they risking everything for her? She didn't have answers, but she knew one thing. She wasn't giving up. Not anymore. At the clubhouse, a rundown garage on the edge of town, Rex spread a map across the table. The entire crew gathered around, faces grim. All right, Rex said. Here's what we know. Vincent Caldera's got 6 guys on Margaret. 2 we already met. 4 more waiting in reserve. Where? Donnie asked. Motel off Route 9, the Starlight. How'd Tommy find out? He's got a cousin who works maintenance there. Overheard them talking. Hound crossed his arms. So what's the play? We hit them first. The room went silent. Crank laughed. You're joking. Do I look like I'm joking? Rex, that's suicide. No, that's offense. Right now they're hunting Margaret. We flip the script. We make them the prey. And how the hell do we do that? Rex tapped the map. We go to the motel. We make it clear they're not welcome. We send a message. A message to Vincent Caldera. Stitch shook his head. You're insane. Maybe, but it's the only way Margaret stays alive. What if they're armed? They definitely are. Then we're walking into a gunfight. Not if we're smart. Rex looked at each of them. We don't go in guns blazing. We go in hard and fast. We scare them. We let them know that if they touch Margaret, they answer to us. Donnie leaned forward. You really think that'll work? I think it's our only shot. Silence. Then Hound spoke. When do we go? Tonight. Tonight? Crank's eyes widened. Rex, we need time to plan. We don't have time. The longer we wait, the more organized they get. We hit them now while they're still thinking we're just a bunch of dumb bikers who got in the way. We are just a bunch of dumb bikers. Rex's jaw tightened. Then let's prove them wrong. One by one they nodded, reluctant, scared, but committed. All right, Rex said. Here's the plan. He laid it out. Simple, direct, dangerous as hell. They'd roll up to the Starlight at midnight. 8 bikes, full colors, make themselves impossible to ignore. They'd knock on the door, polite, professional, and they'd deliver one message. Leave Margaret alone or deal with us. And if they don't listen, Donnie asked. Rex's eyes were hard. Then we make them listen. That afternoon, Margaret got a call from the federal prosecutor, a sharp-voiced man named Gerald Brennan. Mrs. Whitmore, we need to move up your testimony. Margaret's stomach dropped. What? Why? We've received credible threats. The trial's being accelerated. You're testifying tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, but I'm not ready. You don't have a choice. Caldera's lawyers are pushing for delays. If we don't move now, we lose our window. But what about protection? What about... We'll have marshals escort you to the courthouse. You'll be safe. Margaret wanted to believe him, but she'd heard promises before. Mr. Brennan, there are men trying to kill me. I'm aware. That's why we're accelerating. That's why you're putting me in more danger. Brennan's voice softened. Mrs. Whitmore, I know you're scared, but you're the only witness who can put Caldera away. Without you, he walks. And if he walks, how many more people die? Margaret closed her eyes. I know. Then we're agreed. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Marshals will pick you up at 6:30. All right. And Mrs. Whitmore, thank you. You're doing the right thing. The line went dead. Margaret sat there, phone in hand, her entire body numb. Tomorrow, it was happening tomorrow, which meant tonight was her last chance to back out and her last chance to die. She thought about calling Rex, but she didn't have his number. Didn't even know his last name. All she could do was wait. At midnight, 8 motorcycles rolled up to the Starlight Motel. The engines cut simultaneously, and the silence that followed was deafening. Rex dismounted first. His crew followed, forming a line behind him. The motel was a dump, 2 stories, peeling, paint neon sign flickering. Room 12 had a light on. Rex walked straight to the door and knocked. No answer. He knocked again, louder. The door cracked open. A man's face appeared, one of the guys from the diner. His eyes widened. "Remember me?" Rex asked. The man tried to slam the door. Rex's boot stopped it. "We need to talk." "We got nothing to say." "Yeah, you do." Rex pushed the door open. The man stumbled back, reaching for something inside his jacket. Every biker behind Rex moved. The man froze. "Easy," Rex said. "We're not here to fight. We're here to talk." "About what?" "Margaret Whitmore." The man's jaw tightened. "Don't know her." "Yeah, you do. You and your buddy tried to grab her last night." "You're crazy." "Maybe, but here's the thing." Rex stepped inside. "She's under our protection now. You touch her, you answer to us. You follow her, you answer to us. You so much as look at her wrong, you answer to us." The man's eyes darted to the others in the room. 3 more men, all armed, all tense. "You threatening us? I'm giving you a warning, 1 chance. Walk away." One of the other men stood. Big guy, 6'3", maybe 250. "You got a lot of nerve coming here." "Yeah, I do." "You know who we work for, Vincent Caldera." "We know." The big guy laughed. "Then you know you're dead men." Rex didn't blink. "Maybe, but so are you." The laughter stopped. "See, here's the problem," Rex continued. "You think you're untouchable because Caldera's got power. But power doesn't mean shit when you're bleeding out in a motel parking lot. You really want to do this?" "No, but I will if you make me." The tension was so thick it was suffocating. One wrong move, one wrong word, and the room would explode. Then from the back, a voice. "Stand down." Everyone turned. A 5th man stepped out of the bathroom, older, gray hair, expensive suit. He looked at Rex like he was studying an insect. "Who are you?" Rex asked. "Someone who doesn't appreciate amateurs interfering with professional work." "Professional? You mean hired killers?" The man smiled. "Semantics. You the one calling the shots?" "For this operation, yes." "Then here's the shot I'm calling. Leave Margaret alone." "Or what?" "Or we make this messy." The man studied him for a long moment. "You have no idea what you're up against." "I know exactly what I'm up against, and I don't care." "You should. Why?" "That because Caldera's got money power connections." Rex leaned in. "None of that matters if I put a bullet in your head right now." The room went silent. The man's smile faded. "You wouldn't." "Try me." For the first time, the man looked uncertain. Rex straightened. "Here's how this works. You call Caldera. You tell him the old woman's off limits. You tell him if anything happens to her, we burn his entire operation to the ground. You got that?" The man's eyes narrowed. "Caldera doesn't negotiate with bikers." Then maybe it's time he learned. Rex turned and walked about, his crew following. They mounted their bikes, engines roaring to life, and disappeared into the night. Inside the motel room, the man with the gray hair pulled out his phone. "It's done," a voice answered. "No, we have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "The kind that wears leather and thinks they're heroes." There was a pause. "Handle it. They're more organized than we thought." "I don't care. Handle it. Now." The line went dead. The man looked at the others. "We move on the old woman tomorrow, before she testifies." "What about the bikers?" "Kill them too." Back at the clubhouse, Rex's crew was buzzing with adrenaline. "Did you see that guy's face?" Hound laughed. "He looked like he was going to piss himself." "Yeah, until the suit showed up," Donnie muttered. Rex was quiet, his mind working through scenarios. They'd made their move. Now Caldera would make his, and it was going to be brutal. "Boss," Stitch said, "you really think they'll back off?" "No, that's true." "Then what was the point?" "The point was to buy time. Margaret testifies tomorrow morning. We just need to keep her alive until then." "And after?" Rex didn't answer, because he didn't know. His phone rang. "Unknown number," he answered. "Yeah." "Is this Rex?" The voice was unfamiliar, cold, controlled. "Who's asking?" "Someone who's very disappointed in your recent behavior." Rex's blood ran cold. "Caldera." Smart man. I hear you've taken an interest in one of my problems. Margaret's not a problem. She's a person. She's a witness, and witnesses have a nasty habit of dying before they can talk. Not this one, Caldera chuckled. You really think you can stop me? I know I can. Then you're stupider than I thought. The humor left his voice. I'm going to give you one chance. Walk away, forget Margaret Whitmore exists, and maybe I let you and your friends live. Not a chance. Then you've signed your death warrant. Yours too. Caldera laughed long and loud. I like you, Rex. It's a shame I have to kill you. The line went dead. Rex stood there, phone in hand, his heart pounding. Donnie was staring at him. Was that, yeah? What did he say? He's coming for all of us. The room fell silent. Then Hound spoke. So what do we do? Rex looked at his crew, his brothers. Men who'd followed him into hell more times than he could count. And he made a decision. We finish this. Rex hung up the phone and stood there, his crew watching him, waiting for orders. His mind was racing through every possible scenario, every move Caldera might make, every way this could go sideways. Boss, Donnie's voice cut through the silence. Rex looked up. He's not backing down. We figured. No, you don't get it. Rex's jaw tightened. He's coming tonight, before the marshals pick her up, before she testifies. He's going to hit Margaret's house. Crank stood. Then we need to get there. Now. Already thought of that, but it's not enough. What do you mean it's not enough? I mean, Stitch and Crank are sitting ducks out there. Two guys against however many Caldera sends, they won't stand a chance. Hound stepped forward. So we all go. That's what he wants. He wants us all in one place. Makes it easier to wipe us out. Then what's the plan? Rex was quiet for a moment, his mind working. Then he looked at Donnie. How many guys do we know who owe us favors? Donnie blinked. What? How many guys? Crews from other chapters, independents, people we've helped over the years. How many? Donnie thought about it. I don't know, 20, 30. Call them, all of them. Tell them we need bodies at Margaret's house. Tonight. Rex, it's 3 a.m. I don't care. Call them. Donnie pulled out his phone. So did Hound and Crank. Within minutes, they were making calls, waking people up, calling in every favor they'd ever earned. Rex walked outside, his chest tight, his hands shaking. He'd just put a target on the back of every man he cared about. If this went wrong, if Caldera's people came in heavy, they'd all die. But if they didn't try, Margaret died for sure. His phone rang again, another unknown number. He answered. What? Rex. It was a woman's voice, shaky, scared. Who is this? It's Ashley, from the diner. Rex's stomach dropped. How did you get this number? Donnie gave it to me yesterday in case of emergency. What's wrong? There's a man outside my apartment. He's just standing there, watching. Rex's blood ran cold. Get away from the window. What? Get away from the window. Lock your doors. Do it now. He heard her footsteps, the click of a deadbolt. Okay, I'm locked in. Rex, what's happening? Caldera knows you helped Margaret. He's sending a message. Ashley's voice broke. Oh, God. Listen to me. You're going to be okay, but you need to leave right now. Pack a bag, get in your car, drive to the clubhouse. The clubhouse? I don't even know where. Donnie'll text you the address. Just get here fast. Rex, I'm scared. I know, but you're tougher than you think. Now move. He hung up and grabbed Donnie. Ashley's got a tail. Send her our address. We need her here. Donnie's face went pale. Jesus, he's going after everyone. Yeah, which means we're running out of time. At Margaret's house, Stitch was getting antsy. He'd been sitting in the car for hours, his back aching, his eyes heavy. Crank was asleep in the passenger seat, snoring softly. Then Stitch saw headlights. A van. Black. Moving slow down the street. Stitch elbowed Crank. Wake up. What? We got company. Crank sat up, instantly alert. The van stopped 3 houses down. The engine stayed running. That's not good, Crank muttered. No, it's not. Stitch pulled out his phone and called Rex. Boss, we got a van, black. No plates I can see from here. How many people? Can't tell. Windows are tinted. Get Margaret out, now. Where do we take her? Bring her here. We're fortifying the clubhouse. Rex, if we move her, they'll follow. Let them. I'd rather fight them here than at her house. Stitch looked at Crank. You heard him. Let's go. They got out of the car and ran to Margaret's front door. Stitch knocked hard. Mrs. Whitmore, open up. No answer. He knocked again. Margaret, it's Stitch. We need to go. Now. The door cracked open. Margaret's face was pale, her eyes wide. What's happening? No time. Grab your purse. We're leaving. But the marshals are not gonna get here in time. Come on. Margaret didn't argue. She grabbed her purse, threw on a coat, and followed them out. Crank helped her into the back of their car while Stitch kept his eyes on the van. It hadn't moved. They got an engine roaring to life and peeled out of the driveway. The van followed. Here we go, Crank muttered. Stitch floored it, weaving through the empty streets, his heart pounding. The van stayed right behind them, matching every turn. Margaret gripped the seat, her knuckles white. Are they going to kill us? Not if I can help it. Stitch ran a red light, tires squealing. The van did the same. They're not backing off, Crank said. Yeah, I noticed. Stitch's phone rang. He answered on speaker. Yeah, it was Rex. Where are you, Dee? Heading your way, but we got a tail. Lose them. Working on it. Stitch took a hard right, then another left, cutting through an alley. The van fell back, struggling to keep up. I think we're losing them, Crank said. Then a second van appeared ahead of them, blocking the exit. Shit. Stitch slammed the brakes. They were boxed in. Margaret whimpered. Oh, God. Stitch threw the car in reverse, but the first van was already there, blocking them in. Doors opened. Men got out. 6 of them, all armed. Crank pulled a gun from under his seat. Stay down, ma'am. Margaret ducked, trembling, tears streaming down her face. One of the men walked toward them, gun raised. Get out of the car. Stitch didn't move. Not a chance. You got 3 seconds. Come take us then. The man smiled. All right. He raised his gun and gunfire erupted, but not from the man. From behind him. 3 motorcycles roared into the alley, riders firing as they came. The men scattered, diving for cover. It was Donnie, Hound, and Rex. Rex's bike skidded to a stop beside Stitch's car. Go! We'll cover you. Stitch didn't need to be told twice. He threw the car into drive and punched it, weaving past the chaos. Bullets ricocheted off metal. Glass shattered. Margaret screamed. They burst out of the alley onto the main road, tires smoking. Behind them, Rex and his crew held the line, trading fire with Caldera's men. It was chaos, noise, and light, and violence. And for a moment, Rex wasn't sure they'd make it out. Then sirens. Police. Coming fast. Caldera's men broke and ran, piling into the vans and disappearing into the night. Rex and his crew didn't wait. They mounted their bikes and followed Stitch, racing toward the clubhouse. When they arrived, Ashley was already there, pacing in the parking lot, her face streaked with tears. She ran to Rex the moment he dismounted. Are you okay? She asked. I'm fine. I don't know what's happening. You're safe now. That's what matters. Stitch helped Margaret out of the car. She could barely stand, her legs shaking so badly Crank had to support her. Rex walked over. You all right, ma'am? Margaret looked at him, her eyes hollow. They tried to kill us. I know. This is never going to end, is it? Rex didn't answer right away. Then he said, it ends tomorrow when you testify. And if I don't make it to tomorrow, you will, I promise. Margaret wanted to believe him, but she was so tired, so scared. Ashley came over and put an arm around her. Come on, let's get you inside. They led Margaret into the clubhouse, a big open space with bikes parked along one wall. Tools scattered everywhere, a couch that had seen better days. It wasn't much, but it was safe. For now. Rex gathered his crew. All right, here's the situation. Caldera knows where we are. He's coming. And when he does, he's bringing everything he's got. How long do we have? Donnie asked. Hour, maybe 2. That's not enough time. It's gonna have to be. Hound crossed his arms. So what's the play? We turn this place into a fortress. Board up the windows. Cover the entrances. Anybody comes through that door, they're walking into hell. And if they bring cops, then we deal with it. But I'm guessing Caldera doesn't want cops any more than we do. He'll come quiet, fast, brutal. What about Margaret? She stays in the back room. Safest spot in the building. If things go sideways, Crank, you get her out through the rear exit. Crank nodded. Got it. The rest of you arm up. We're making a stand. They moved fast, grabbing weapons, dragging furniture to barricade doors, checking ammo. Ashley watched her heart pounding, feeling useless. "What can I do?" she asked. Rex looked at her. "Keep Margaret calm. That's the most important job right now." "But I want to help." "You are helping, trust me." Ashley nodded and went to sit with Margaret, who was huddled on the couch, staring at nothing. "Mrs. Whitmore," Ashley said softly. Margaret didn't respond. "They're going to protect us. Rex and his crew. They won't let anything happen." Margaret's voice was barely a whisper. "Why are they doing this?" "Because it's the right thing to do. People don't risk their lives for strangers, not like this." Ashley thought about that. Maybe they do. Maybe that's what makes them heroes. Margaret looked at her, tears in her eyes. "I don't want them to die for me, child. They're not going to die." "You don't know that?" Ashley didn't, but she squeezed Margaret's hand anyway. "Then we make sure it's worth it. You testify tomorrow. You put Caldera away. And you make sure their sacrifice means something." Margaret's chin trembled. "What if I can't do it? What if I get up there and I freeze?" "You won't?" "How do you know?" "Because you've already survived this much. And if you can survive this, you can survive anything." Margaret closed her eyes, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. Outside, Rex stood by the window watching the street. His phone buzzed. A text from Tommy. "Caldera's mobilizing. At least 15 guys, maybe more. They're coming for you," Rex typed back. "Let them come." He pocketed the phone and turned to his crew. 15 guys minimum, maybe 20. Donnie whistled. "That's a lot of firepower." "Yeah." "You sure about this, boss?" Rex looked at him. "You want to walk away?" "Hell no, just making sure you're thinking straight." "I am." "Then let's do this." The minutes ticked by. The clubhouse was silent except for the sound of breathing, the creak of leather, the click of metal. Then in the distance, engines. Rex's jaw tightened. "Here we go." The crew took their positions, weapons ready, hearts pounding. The engines grew louder. Closer. Then headlights. Lots of them. But they weren't vans, they were motorcycles. Rex's eyes widened. The bikes pulled into the parking lot, dozens of them riders dismounting in a wave of leather and steel. Donnie stepped outside, staring. "Who the hell?" One of the riders pulled off his helmet. Rex recognized him immediately. Jake Ironside Morrison, president of a Chapter 3 states over. Jake walked up to Rex, hand extended. "Heard you could use some backup." Rex shook his hand, stunned. "How did you?" Donnie called. "Said you were making a stand against Vincent Caldera. That's the kind of fight we don't walk away from." Behind him, more riders gathered. 30, 40, maybe more. Rex felt his throat tighten. "You didn't have to come." Jake grinned. "Yeah, we did." Another rider stepped forward, a woman tall and fierce with a scar across her jaw. "You protecting an old lady from a crime boss. That's my kind of stupid." Rex laughed short and sharp. "All right then, welcome to the war." They spread out, surrounding the clubhouse, turning it into a fortress. Caldera's men wouldn't just be facing 8 bikers anymore. They'd be facing an army. Inside, Margaret heard the engines, the voices. She looked at Ashley. "What's happening?" Ashley went to the window and looked out, her eyes filled with tears. "They came," she whispered. "They all came." Margaret stood trembling and looked outside. Dozens of bikers, strangers, people who didn't know her, people who owed her nothing. And they were all there for her. She pressed her hand to the glass, her heart breaking and mending at the same time. "Why?" she whispered. Rex appeared at the door. "Because you matter, ma'am, and because some things are worth fighting for." Margaret turned to him, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you." Rex nodded. "Don't thank me yet. Night's not over." He was right, because at that moment the first van appeared at the end of the street. Then another and another. Caldera's army had arrived, and the battle was about to begin. The van stopped 50 yards out, engines idling, headlights cutting through the darkness like searchlights. Rex counted them. 5 vans. That meant at least 20 men, maybe more. Behind him, the bikers stood silent, a wall of leather and resolve. No one spoke. No one moved. They just waited. One of the van doors opened. The man in the gray suit stepped out, the same one from the motel. He walked forward slowly, hands visible, stopping halfway between the vans and the clubhouse. "Rex," he called out, "let's talk." Rex stepped through the line of bikers, Donnie right behind him. Nothing to talk about. I think there is. See, you've put us in an awkward position. Good, the man smiled. You've got what 40 guys 50. That's impressive, really. But you're still outgunned. Are we? We've got 30 men in these vans, all armed, all professional. You really want to do this? Rex's jaw tightened. Your boss sent you here to kill an 89-year-old woman, so yeah, I really want to do this. She's a liability. She's a human being. She's a problem that needs solving. Then solve it without murdering her. The man shook his head. You don't understand how this works. I understand perfectly. Caldera's a coward who hides behind hired killers because he's too weak to face his own crimes. The man's smile vanished. You just signed your death warrant. Get in line. The man turned and walked back to the vans. Rex watched him go, his heart-hammering adrenaline flooding his system. Donnie leaned close. You think they'll back off? No. Neither do I. They walked back to the line. Rex addressed his crew and the reinforcements. All right, listen up. They're not leaving, which means this is about to get ugly. Anyone who wants out, now's your chance. No shame in it. No one moved. Jake spoke forward. We came here for a reason, Rex. We're not going anywhere. The woman with the scar nodded. We stand together. Rex felt something tighten in his chest, pride, gratitude, fear for all of them. All right then, positions. And remember, we're not trying to kill anyone. We're just making it too expensive for them to try to lie. They spread out, taking cover behind bikes, cars, the clubhouse walls. Rex positioned himself at the front, Donnie on his left, Hound on his right. Inside, Margaret watches through the window, Ashley beside her. Margaret's hands were shaking so badly she had to grip the windowsill to steady them. They're going to die because of me, she whispered. No, Ashley said firmly. They're choosing to fight for you. That's different. How is it different? Because they believe in something bigger than themselves. They believe you're worth it. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. I'm not. Yes, you are. Outside, the van doors opened. Men poured out, spreading into a line, weapons visible, but not raised. Not yet. The man in the gray suit walked forward again. Last chance, Rex. Hand over the woman. Walk away. Live to see tomorrow. Rex didn't answer. All right, then. The man raised his hand. Time slowed. Every biker tensed. The man's hand dropped. And nothing happened. No gunfire, no charge, nothing. Rex's eyes narrowed. What the hell? Then he heard it. Sirens. Distant, but getting closer. The man in the suit heard them too. His face went pale. Boss, one of his guys called out. We got cops coming, multiple units. The man cursed under his breath. He looked at Rex, fury and frustration warring on his face. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. The man turned and barked orders. His crew scrambled back to the van's doors slamming shut, engines roaring to life. Within seconds, they were gone, disappearing into the night. Rex stood there stunned as the sirens grew louder. 3 patrol cars screamed into the parking lot, lights flashing. Officers jumped out, weapons drawn. Everyone on the ground now. Rex raised his hands. Easy, we're the good guys. On the ground. The bikers complied, dropping to their knees, hands behind their heads. Rex did the same, his mind racing. Who called the cops? How did they know? One of the officers approached him. You, Rex, yeah. Federal Marshal Daniels is on his way. He wants to talk to you. Rex blinked. Federal Marshal. That's what I said. 20 minutes later, a black SUV pulled up. A man in his 50s stepped out, badge clipped to his belt phone pressed to his ear. He finished his call and walked straight to Rex. You're Rex, Wasson. That's me. I'm Marshal Daniels. I'm here for Margaret Whitmore. Rex's stomach dropped. How did you know? Gerald Brennan called me. Said Mrs. Whitmore was in immediate danger and that a group of bikers had taken it upon themselves to protect her. Daniels looked around at the assembled crew. Gotta say, I didn't believe him. Where is she? Are you? Inside, safe. Good, keep her that way. We've got a transport ready. We're taking her to a secure location until her testimony tomorrow. Rex hesitated. She's been through hell tonight. I know. That's why we're moving fast. Daniels paused. Brennan also said you and your crew put yourselves in the line of fire to keep her alive. That true? Rex shrugged. Somebody had to. Daniels studied him for a long moment. Most people would have walked away. We're not most people. No, you're not. Daniels extended his hand. Thank you. Rex shook it, surprised. Now, Daniels continued, I need you to bring her out. Nice and easy. My men are going to escort her from here. Rex nodded and walked inside. Margaret was sitting on the couch, Ashley beside her, both of them looking exhausted and terrified. Mrs. Whitmore, Rex said gently, the marshals are here. They're going to take you somewhere safe. Margaret's eyes widened. Already? Yeah, it's time. She stood on shaky legs. Ashley helped steady her. Will I see you again? Margaret asked. Rex's throat tightened. I don't know, ma'am. I need to thank you. Properly. Her voice broke. I don't even know how. You don't need to thank me. You just need to get up on that stand tomorrow and tell the truth. Margaret nodded, tears streaming down her face. I will, I promise. Good. Ashley helped Margaret outside. Marshal Daniels met them, his manner calm and professional. Mrs. Whitmore, I'm Marshal Daniels. We're going to keep you safe until your testimony. You have my word. Margaret looked back at Rex one last time. Thank you, she whispered. Then she was gone, helped into the SUV surrounded by federal protection. The SUV pulled away, taillights disappearing into the darkness. The parking lot fell silent. Jake walked over to Rex. Well, that was a hell of a night. Rex laughed, exhausted and relieved. Yeah, it was. What now? Now we wait, see if she makes it to that courthouse. And if she doesn't, Rex's jaw set, then we finish what we started. The bikers dispersed slowly, engines rumbling to life, riders peeling out one by one. Jake and his crew were the last to leave. You ever need backup again, Jake said. You call. I will, thank you. Don't mention it. This is what we do. Jake mounted his bike and rode off, his crew following. Finally, it was just Rex and his original crew. 8 men who'd started this whole thing because an old woman asked for help. Donnie clapped Rex on the shoulder. We did it, boss. Not yet. She's still got to testify. She will. How do you know? Because after everything we went through to keep her alive, she's not going to let us down. Rex wanted to believe that, but he'd seen too many things go wrong to trust anything until it was done. Ashley appeared beside him. Can I ask you something? Yeah. Why did you do it, really? Rex thought about that. Because someone had to. And because walking away would have meant living with the fact that we let her die. I couldn't do that. Ashley's eyes filled with tears. You're a good man, Rex. I'm just a guy who doesn't like bullies. She laughed through her tears and hugged him. Rex stood there awkward and uncomfortable until she pulled away. Thank you, she said, for everything. You helped too. You're the one who asked us. I didn't think you'd say yes. Neither did I. Ashley smiled, wiped her eyes, and walked to her car. She drove away, leaving Rex alone with his crew. All right, Hound said. I'm beat. I'm going home. One by one, they left until it was just Rex and Donnie. You think Caldera's done? Donnie asked. No, but Margaret's out of his reach now. That's what matters. And us, Rex looked at him. We watch our backs, for a while at least. Great. Hey, you signed up for this. Yeah, I did. Donnie grinned. And I'd do it again. Rex smiled, tired but genuine. Get some sleep, brother. You too. Donnie drove off and Rex was alone. He stood there in the empty parking lot, the night quiet around him, and thought about Margaret. Thought about how scared she'd been, how brave she'd had to be just to keep going. He hoped she made it, hoped she got up on that stand and told her story, because if she did, all of this meant something. The next morning, Rex's phone rang at 8:30. He answered groggily. Yeah? It was Marshal Daniels. Thought you'd want to know. Margaret Whitmore testified this morning. Full testimony. She didn't hold anything back. Rex sat up wide awake. She okay? She's fine, shaken but fine. Caldera's lawyers tried to rattle her, but she held strong. Because of her, we've got the jury's going to convict. I guarantee it. Rex let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, it is. And Rex, she asked me to pass along a message. What's that? She said to tell you thank you, and that she's going to live the rest of her life making sure people like you are remembered. Rex's throat tightened. Tell her she doesn't need to do that. Too late. She already started. Daniels paused. You did a good thing, Rex. Don't ever forget that. The line went dead. Rex sat there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. Then he smiled. 3 weeks later, Vincent Caldera was convicted on all charges: racketeering, extortion, murder. He was sentenced to life without parole. Margaret Whitmore attended every day of the trial, and when it was over, she walked out of that courthouse with her head held high. She'd survived, and she'd won. A month after that, Rex got a letter in the mail. It was from Margaret. Inside was a simple note. "Dear Rex, I don't have the words to thank you properly, but I wanted you to know that because of you and your crew, I'm still here. I get to see my grandchildren grow up. I get to live. That's a gift I can never repay. But I'm going to try. I'm starting a foundation to help witnesses like me, people who are scared and alone and need someone to stand with them. I'm calling it the Courage Project. And I'm naming the first chapter after you. Thank you for giving me my life back. With all my gratitude, Margaret." Rex read the letter 3 times, his vision blurring. Donnie found him sitting alone in the clubhouse, the letter in his hand. "You okay, boss?" Rex looked up. "Yeah, I'm okay." "What's that?" Rex handed him the letter. Donnie read it, his eyes widening. "Damn," he whispered. "She really did it." "Yeah, she really did." They sat there in silence, 2 men who'd risked everything for a stranger and felt the weight of what they'd done settle into something solid and real. They'd saved a life, and in doing so, they'd changed their own. 6 months later, the Courage Project opened its doors. Margaret was there cutting the ribbon, surrounded by people she'd helped. And standing in the back, watching quietly, were 8 bikers in leather vests. Margaret saw them and walked straight over, tears in her eyes. "You came," she said. "Wouldn't miss it," Rex replied. She hugged each of them one by one, her gratitude spilling over in ways words couldn't capture. When she got to Rex, she held him tight and whispered, "You gave me my life back. Now I'm going to spend it giving that gift to others." Rex's voice was rough. "That's all we could have asked for." Margaret pulled back, smiling through her tears. "You're family now, all of you. Don't you forget that." "We won't." And they didn't. Because that night in the rain, when an 89-year-old woman asked a group of strangers for help, something extraordinary happened. Walls came down, judgments fell away, and people who should have been enemies became heroes. Margaret lived another 12 years, her foundation helping hundreds of witnesses find the courage to speak their truth. And every year on the anniversary of that rainy night, she threw a party at the clubhouse surrounded by bikers who'd become her guardians, her friends, her family. Rex never forgot what she'd taught him, that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to act despite it. That sometimes the most unlikely people become the truest heroes. And that when you stand up for what's right, even when it's terrifying, even when the odds are impossible, you change the world in ways you never imagined. Years later, when someone asked Rex why he'd done it, why he'd risked everything for a stranger, his answer was simple. Because she asked, and because saying no would have meant living with the fact that I let evil win. I couldn't do that. None of us could. Margaret Whitmore's testimony didn't just put a monster in prison. It created a ripple that spread outward, touching lives, changing hearts, proving that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they choose courage over fear. And it all started with 5 simple words. "Can you walk me to my car?" Those words became a rallying cry, a reminder, a promise that no one has to face darkness alone. Because somewhere, always there are people willing to stand in the gap. People who see fear and meet it with resolve. People who understand that the measure of a life isn't how long you live, but how fiercely you protect those who can't protect themselves. Margaret understood that. Rex understood that. And together they proved it to a world that desperately needed the reminder. That night in the rain changed everything. It saved a life, started a movement, built a family from strangers. And decades later, when people told the story of the limping woman and the bikers who became her shield, they told it not as a tale of violence, but as a testament to the unbreakable truth that lives at the heart of humanity. When we stand together, we are unstoppable.